let's start off with this, and then we'll go through the story. It is understood that Julian Ward was considering a global technical director role at Ineos Football Group, but he was then approached by Edwards and was convinced to return. That was posted by Paul Joyce. The next few things I'm going to read out are... how old are they? Some of them a little bit old, some of them posted today. But let me just say that the person who tweeted these, a guy called Raj Chauhan, in my opinion, is an extremely credible, extremely well connected, and an extremely intelligent man. And a lot of the stuff that I'm going to read out to you now has been posted by him over the course of time in recent weeks. And I want to bring it to you because I think it gives a good picture of how maybe we ended up where we are here, with Edwards back, with Hughes in, with Michael Edwards, or excuse me, with Julian Ward back. I think this ties it all together. So the first post from today was somebody else posting to say, did Klopp and Edwards fall out over signings at any point? And then somebody tagged Raj in and said, you know, can you give information? He then said, yes, and the first falling out came from Linders mocking Edwards on one of his transfer decisions, which turned out to be spot on. So, according to this story, it was actually not so much Jurgen Klopp initially, but Michael Edwards was mocked or undermined by Pep Linders over one of the signings that turned out to be a good signing in the longer term. Now, a post that Raj put up a few days ago said, Mike, and again, these are all publicly there for you to look at, so the only reason I'm talking about these is because they were posted on a public forum, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under a bus, and again, I have incredible respect for Raj. Michael Edwards wanted to run Liverpool using many of the concepts that Florentino Perez uses to run Real Madrid before his power was ousted, selling older players at the right time, scouting players from non-EU areas, buying many young talents ready to succeed the senior squad members, recruiting dominant athletic profiles. This time, he has more power akin to what Florentino Perez has at Real Madrid, and it will be intriguing to see how his vision is implemented fully. Going back again, somebody else posted, Madrid also study how players' personality to see how they would fit into the dressing room and social groups within the squad. The Brazilian and French players being friends, Mbappe already seen hanging out with Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, and Endrick, Euro potentially all probably fit. Raj replied to that to say, yep, and Edwards does this also. This next bit is kind of mind-blowing. He actually went to the same hotel as Klopp before he was appointed and spied on his interactions with people. Think about that. But I'm not finished. Another post said, that's what I've been told about why Amarim didn't get the job. He wouldn't submit completely to Edwards' demands, even though he was the preferred coach. Slot will do what he is told by Edwards, Liverpool trying to build Real Madrid model where Edwards controls everything like Florentino Perez. So, apparently according to Raj, Ruben Amorim was the preferred choice but wouldn't bow down to everything that Michael Edwards wanted him to. He was happy to come in and be a coach, according to another post, but I mean, a lot to unpack there, right? From the falling out between Linders and Michael Edwards initially, that started the cracks apparently, to Michael Edwards even spying on Klopp at the hotel before Klopp came to Liverpool, and lots of other bits and pieces there that, as I say, this guy's not a shit stirrer. Another one said, Klopp asked for a new number 8. Original plan was Zielinski, who went to Napoli instead of an alternative plan which was needed. Edwards and his team profiled the concept of Wijnaldum as a number 8 to Klopp. The rest is history. This special ability to conceptualise players is part of why Edwards is back. So for me, I place extreme faith in Michael Edwards, and I am very much happy that Michael Edwards is back at the club. I don't like to hear of any fallouts or disagreements behind the scenes. I love Jurgen Klopp. But when it comes to transfers and transfer activity, I have to say, for me, Michael Edwards has been incredibly good, incredibly efficient, and his success rate has been quite impressive. So I'm expecting an interesting summer. Remember when I told you guys a few weeks ago that I'd be astonished, despite all the public talking about Salah staying or Liverpool letting him run down and leave on a free. I'll be astonished if, one, Salah isn't sold this summer, and two, if they let him run down his contract. Nothing about the way Michael Edwards has operated in the past suggests to me that he's going to be one for giving out contracts to players who he thinks are past their peak. Maybe there's an exception for Mo, because when we are talking about Mo, we're talking about one of the greatest success stories of Liverpool's transfer history. Somebody who's rewritten the record books and somebody who has been incredibly good for the football club. So maybe there is a chance. But if you look at his body of work, Michael Edwards, I don't know. I'm not hopeful that we see Salah here next season. And that's why I've said to you guys for quite a while that the contractual situation makes me feel like, despite what's been said in the media, I don't feel confident that that's going to be the case. But let's wait and see how it works out. Slot won't be a yes man. Well, apparently he will. Again, I wasn't in these meetings, so I don't know. And there's nothing wrong with a coach coming in to be a coach. That's what he's there for. I said this as well before. For me, the idea of whoever the next coach was coming in and being a head coach is the right idea. I don't like the idea in the modern football world of managers having this scope to sort out all the transfers, because football's an all-encompassing job between coaching, academy stuff, setting out your plans, talking with your players. There's a lot to get in there, and the managers only have so many hours. So for me, no problem with a sporting director being the one who looks after incomings and outgoings and protects the footballing structure of the club and the way that we play from youth level right the way through. I've no issues with that. And I'm sure if Arne Slot comes in and has success and proves himself as a coach, a motivator and a leader, I'm sure that his stature within the club will be recognised and he will grow into that. So I'm not trying to say that he's some shrinking violet who's going to come in and just be on a leash and do everything he's told. No. But he's walking in and he's happy with the situation he's walking into. That's basically the way I'd summarise it. To be honest, there are managers more suited to be a coach. Erik ten Hag is an example. Look, in the modern day, it's very rare that a manager has a lot of power at a football club. You know, Pep Guardiola obviously is one exception. Jurgen Klopp would have been another one. Back in the day, Sir Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, you know, they all had Jose Mourinho. They would have had huge roles at clubs. But in this day and age, the whole idea behind the sporting director system is that a coach is interchangeable. If a coach, for whatever reason, be it they want a new challenge, they're not working well, they fall out or lose the dressing room, the whole idea of the structure is that you can replace the coach, put in a new coach, and the rest of the club doesn't suffer. The philosophy of how you play football, the morals that you hold without the club, none of that changes. It's to decrease the level of chaos when a manager departs. So it's not uncommon. It's more common practice these days in European clubs, and it's coming into English football as well, and I like it. Personally, I think it's a better way of operating. LFC Hot Skull said, Liverpool is way too big for Slot, in my opinion. We're selling ourselves short. I honestly don't know, mate. I don't know, you know. I'm intrigued to see how he gets on. I'm intrigued to see the transfer business is what really intrigues me this summer, mate. You know, I'm all for Michael Edwards working his magic and finding those, you know, up-and-coming young talents and all, but I don't want us to just be cheap in the market. There's nothing wrong with clever signings, but occasionally you got to do what you got to do. And occasionally you need a Van Dijk. Occasionally you need an Alisson Becker. And it's important for us to know that if those players are needed, that the owners will step up. I have my doubts that they'll step up, because I can't change my mind. I think FSG are cheap. The only time they're not cheap is when they're adding value to the business that they own via structural projects, which make sense for everybody involved. Loads of people threw flowers at them for, oh, they did the main stand, they did the Annie Road end. So, anyone with half a brain should have come in and done those things, because it's the right thing to do. It increases the amount of people who get into the stadium. It helps keep the flow of fans coming in. It increases the value of the asset. It's a no-brainer. So I never gave them the credit for that. What I have given them credit for is the appointments they've made at the club. I think they've got those spot on. And to see that when somebody as big as Jurgen is departing the club, but somebody who has brought us so much success and has been the figurehead of the football club, when he departs, they are big, big, big shoes to fill. And for me, I love the idea that we've gone out there, Edwards, we've gone out there and brought Ward, the guy from Benfica, and Richard Hughes. It definitely feels like no stone has been left unturned in that regard. I'll give them the credit on that.